has been coming this morning. And, it's not heavy, but a little bit wet. It's a wet morning, and I believe it brings showers of blessing upon Nigerians to wash away this bad government, bad leadership, everything that is causing bad leadership in this country. The rain will wash them away, so that our leaders will be able to see clearly and have a little bit of sympathy for the masses. So I believe that this rain is falling right now to clean away evil from the land and to allow the present government to get it right and to begin to bring policies that will change the life of Nigerians. Today we want to look at, we'll be dealing with different issues. The last time before the YouTube was hacked, the YouTube was actually hacked by some criminally minded people whose duty it is, like a cartel, move around hacking people's social media account and the rest. But let me just say this now. It looks as if most youths don't understand that hacking is a cyber crime that is punishable by the law in Nigeria. And so if you are caught hacking people's social media account, hacking their bank account, there are penalties. The last time we were talking about impunity. We said that we live in a country now where people feel they can do anything they want to do and get away with it. People are not punished. And just like what the Holy Book says, because people are not punished, the heart of man is set to continually do evil. And so people are not punished. In government, they are not punished. People steal money, they get away with it. They just go to court and do one or two charades here and there. And the politicians are let go. Or they have a way of going from one court to the other to shop for injunctions, injunction this, injunction that. All is not, it's not for the benefit of the nation, but it's just to get away from crime. So you see people tell you that they can continue to do evil because they feel they can get away with it, both in government, both in the society, in the homes, in the church, in the mosques, religious centers, both our Orthodox religion and the rest. People feel they can do anything and get away with it. People are not punished. There's no discipline. There's no discipline in government. There's no discipline around us. There's no discipline in the homes. People forget that there are consequences for every action. And that's the reason why we have this problem we're having today in our country, because our society don't punish evil. Crime is not punished. The man that stole, the Accountant General of the Federation that stole 80 billion, later they found out it's about 120 billion or so thereabout, if I'm not mistaken. Since then, I believe he has been at home because there's no consequences. There's no deterrent. People are not punished for the offenses they committed. The Minister of Humanitarian Affairs was accused of stealing, of doing this, She's still there. She's not punished. So I think it's a conspiracy among the leadership. It's a conspiracy among the elite, among the leaders, among the top, the leadership of the country, that they should always get away with anything they do. So when it comes to crime, you find out that our prisons yard is full with petty criminals. Our prison yard is filled up with young people. The other day, somebody was telling me of a young man that has been in prison for 5 years now for stealing egg. You can put somebody, it's just an awaiting trial for 5 years, awaiting trial for stealing crate of egg. I believe when he stole the crate of egg, it was no more than 80 naira. 800 naira, even less than 800 naira. Right there in the same country, we have people who are accused of stealing billions of naira. They are walking the streets free. They go to court, they have a way of settling one thing or the other, and at the end of the day, they are granted bail, and they begin to postpone the case for the next 30 years. So to me, I feel there should be a special court where these things are treated. If you have a corruption case, in the next 1 month, maximum of 1 month, the case should be done away with. You see, until people are punished for crime will continue. It's in the nature of man to be criminally minded. It is in the nature of man, to do what is wrong, except there's a deterrent. That's why I find that developed countries, Europe, America, Canada, they have some level of sanity today because nobody is above the law. When you are caught, you are punished. And so when you know you don't want to commit crime, If you know you don't want to go to prison, you stop committing crime. Like I told you earlier on that my YouTube was hacked 5 days ago. I didn't get access to the YouTube. But thank God, by the grace of God, we were able to trace, and we were able to trace the guys that hacked the YouTube, and they were arrested. 2 days ago, they were arrested, and they slept in the prison, in the cell, for only one night. And for that night that they slept in the cell, when they came out the next day, they were willing. They slept there hungry. There was no food for them because they had no money. It was just the bare floor. They were complaining of cold. Their legs were cold. Their body were cold because everywhere it was very cold in the cell. And so when they came out from the cell, they behaved themselves. And imagine if they cannot survive one day in the cell, how can they survive 7 years in the prison? And so they thought of it, and quickly they had to arrive at a compromise to see how the YouTube can be restored. And these are people I know. That's the sad part of it. One of them worked with me. So what am I trying to say? There must be deterrent. There must be deterrent. If the man that is occupying the post as the Accountant General of the Federation, if the man that is occupying the post as a minister is caught committing crime and is jailed, and he spends maybe 7 years, 10 years in prison, other ministers will see it as a deterrent. Stealing will no more be a culture. Our biggest problem right now is fraud. From the top to the bottom, there's so much fraud. I keep saying it again and again, and I'm not get tired of saying it. Until people are punished, it will continue. And I told you that just spending one night in the cell, in police cell alone, they were willing to confess. And so you see, when the rich man is caught committing crime and he spends 10 years, nobody will do that again. Nobody will do that again. So people have made their government resources their livelihood. They made governance their source of livelihood. They've been in government since 1999, stealing and stealing. They don't get tired of stealing because it's their culture, because people are not punished. People are allowed to go away. So that's what we discussed the last time before the phone was hacked. That there's so much impunity. There's so much impunity. As long as this impunity continues and we don't set up a standard of deterrence, people will continue to be punished. In this government now, we've seen people that are accused of crime, accused of one thing or the other. We have people in EFCC, we have cases with EFCC and the rest, and they are still in the Senate. They are still in this, they are still in the government. They have cases, they have issues. But because they have affiliated with the ruling class, with the ruling party, all of a sudden it looks as if your sins go and sin no more, and they continue in that lifestyle. And so we cannot have a nation like this. We can't. And this level of impunity we should not be allowed to go on. And so if we want to have a sound nation, we must reform our judicial system. Thank God we now have a Chief Justice of the Federation, and I pray there should be a lot of judicial reforms. We should have a judiciary that does not have sympathy for the rich. We should not have a judiciary that is anti-poor. No. If you have a judiciary that is anti-poor, it's a source of anarchy. It's a source of anarchy. This is where the mafias begin to rise up. This is where people begin to take laws into their hands. Why? Because you have a judiciary that is anti-poor. Well, you have a judiciary that is for the highest bidder. You have a judiciary that you can get away with anything you do because you have the money to do it. Because you have the money to get out of it. You can buy the judges, you can do this, you can do this. And so when you have that kind of system, there is bound to be crisis. And that's what part of the case we're having today. The federal high court will give something, the state court, high court will give a different judgment. And because these people have so much money, they just use the money to shop for a willing judge that is willing to comply with their demands. When I heard the last time that the General Federation said they don't have the case file of a former Chief Justice of Nigeria, Onoge, I felt ashamed. And I just prayed that this news, I was praying that this news does not go outside Nigeria, so that other part of the world, civilized world, where human beings are staying, they will not hear such high-profile case of a former Chief Justice of Nigeria. You don't have the file. You don't have the case file. Now, if the case file of the Chief Justice of Nigeria could be missing, then what of the chief file of an ordinary man in the street? That's why you have people that have been awaiting trial for 5 years for petty crime. And we have mega crime committed by politicians, and they are free. They're in their houses. And how long do we continue like this? How long do we continue to live like this? These things, this impunity should stop. We need a government, we need a system, we need a legislature, executive, and judiciary that has sympathy for the people, that have zero tolerance for indiscipline. You don't grow to be disciplined. You need discipline to grow. As a nation, our leadership, the citizens, we don't grow to be disciplined. We need discipline in order for we to grow. And so there must be discipline in government. We can't continue. I keep saying we cannot continue like this. As long as we continue to live like this as a nation, we are just postponing the day of anarchy. Because it will get to a stage that people will take it no more. And that is where we are getting to now. That is where we are getting to now. So our judicial system must be completely reformed. Except we have a sound judiciary. It's a recipe for confusion. It's a recipe for anarchy. Because people will be so pushed to the wall that they begin to take justice in their hand. The source for justice. There's a common saying that if you cannot get justice in the court, you will seek it in the street. And that is what we are about entering. Except we stop. Except we stop. The poor man needs to know that nobody is free. Anybody that commits crime, we must be prepared to serve the time. If you commit a crime, you should be prepared to serve the time. If you don't want to serve the time, don't commit the crime. And the reason why you will not commit the crime is because you know that nobody is above the law. Nobody, for goodness sake. Nobody, even for the former president of America, I saw when he went to court. He was summoned and he went to court. Which president in Nigeria, former president, has gone to court with all the allegations against them? Even some while in government, they are telling you that when they leave the presidency, nobody should summon them because they will not come. They are bigger than the law. Now, if you are bigger than the law as a citizen, then you have no right to contest for the presidency. Even the president should be assumed. They should remove all this impunity crap that is causing confusion. People do what they like. Look at one of the governors in the central states that was alleged to have stolen 80 billion and more billions here and there. He had impunity. They knew he had impunity. But immediately he left as governor, he had no impunity anymore. He had already perfected the strategy of disappearing, and he disappeared. And for almost 2-3 months now, this man that disappeared has not been seen. It has not been seen. How do we continue like this? So we want our DSS, our security agencies, to sit up. There's an accusation against somebody that is also part of those sponsoring Boko Haram. They should be investigated to find out if the minister actually is part of them. You remember Jonathan said that Boko Haram is part of his government. All this kidnapping should stop. They should stop. It can be stopped. Those who are involved. I mean, Jonathan, when Buhari was president, during Buhari's regime as president, the leadership of United Arab Emirates, they sent a list of some people who are sponsoring terrorism to Nigeria. What did the Buhari do about it? Nothing. He did nothing. I mean, it's amazing. I ask myself at times, most of these people, are they truly Nigerians? I've been saying that again and again. They give you the list of people who are sponsoring terrorism in Nigeria. People have been killed, people have been butchered, people have been raped, families have been separated, families have been destroyed, people's livelihood have been destroyed. And you have the list of people they were given to you who are suspect. I was thinking by now those people should be in prison. But nothing was done about it. Because in Nigeria, justice is for the rich. Justice is for the rich. In Nigeria, there are some set of people that are above the law. The law is not meant for them. They are far above the law. When you are rich, you are above the law. When you belong to a certain segment of the society, you are above the law. And we can't live like this. Please. Nigeria belongs to Nigerians. Nobody is more Nigerian than the other. It's either you're a Nigerian or you're not a Nigerian. There are things that I expect should be passed into law, but it's not possible. It's not possible because those who are supposed to pass them into law, I mean, they have one issue or the other. They've been accused of one issue or the other. For example, fraud in Nigeria should attract a minimum of 25 years imprisonment. A minimum. of 25 years imprisonment. Once you are accused of fraud and they are able to prove it, 25 years imprisonment. Without any option. I don't want to say death penalty as it is done in China. Let it just be 25 years imprisonment. And corruption will die on its own. Except people are punished for crime they commit. The crime will continue. The law is useless if it cannot be enforced. The law is useless if the law cannot be enforced. We must be able to enforce our laws in this country. That no matter who you are, when you are accused of any kind of crime, you should be punished. Nobody should be exempted from punishment because of his tribe, his religion, and his financial status. That is why right now in Nigeria, money is God. People serve money in Nigeria. Because they know that there's a level of money you will get to, you will get justice. That justice is for the rich. And if you think you want to get justice and you don't have money, they feel you are wasting your time. That is what the ordinary youth in Nigeria are saying in the street. That is their mindset. Because that's what they are able to observe. You arrest a young man, you call him a Yahoo boy because he was able to defraud somebody of $200. And it becomes, and you parade them on TV and you're happy that you are working. But the question you ask yourself, those who stole billions, how many of them are in prison? You come to tell us the number of Yahoo boys that they've convicted that are in prison now. Yahoo is a crime. Yes, it's wrong. I know it's crime. It's criminal. But which one is more detrimental to our living? Which one is more detrimental to the life of Nigerians? Look at how poor Nigerians are now. Because the leadership from 1999, or 1960, let me just say 1999, recent leadership, they've defrauded the country so much and nobody's been punished. And even those that were accused and they were sentenced, all of a sudden, the same political class will grant them amnesty. Except justice is enforced, the law is useless. Without justice being enforced, the law becomes useless. And in order to avert the anarchy in the future, laws must be enforced. Because if laws are not enforced, if the laws are not enforced when it comes to the rich, if the rich are exempted from punishment, if the rich are free to do what they like and get away with things, then it will get to a stage where the poor himself will react. And we need to avert this kind of danger. I see it coming because people are angry. People are not satisfied. Look at the end. But this is the first time in the history of Nigeria where we are having a protest against bad governance. That tells you that gradually, Nigerians are pushed to the wall. And we don't want a situation where it becomes too bad, where it becomes too bloody. We need to have a system, a leadership by example. People need to be punished for their crime. How many politicians that have stolen our money, our nation's money, are in prison today? How many of them? How many of them have been convicted? How many of them have been jailed? How many of them are serving time? Like I told you, it's the poor that is there. The poor, petty criminals. Petty criminals. You know, they stole 10,000, they stole 5,000, they did this, small criminals. So the impression the youth in the streets are getting right now is that, you know, for you to enjoy your loot, steal much. Steal more than enough so that you can have enough to settle one or two people, then you can be free. Then your case will be prolonged. I heard somebody said some time ago, during I think 2001, 2002, if I'm not mistaken. I heard somebody said, it's a politician, that don't worry, this case is on. In the next 30, 40 years, the case will still be on. We know how to handle it. You know, even though you know that they have stolen, but they can handle it. So they'll take it to the court, and they know how to handle the court. And we need a judicial reform. We need to reform our laws. There should be a set time for fraud cases. Like I said, 1 month, 2 months. There should be a set time. Before the EFCC begin to prosecute any case, they should have their facts ready. You don't arrest people and begin to investigate. You investigate before you arrest. You have a watertight case. You have all the evidence that you need. Then you arrest. You don't arrest in the basis of newspaper, announce it everywhere, make all kinds of announcements, People have been arrested, blah, 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 blah. At the end of the day, they take them to court. They grant them bail. That's the end. Because you don't have a watertight case. Because it is basically a media case. And we have so much media case in Nigeria. Because they've not gotten their facts right. They just want to show that they are working. And they pick up somebody and the next day they announce no. These politicians should be investigated. And if they have a case against them, they should bring them back to this country. Let them come and answer for the crime, even if they've run away. For example, we heard the story that concerning the former Abia State governor, the one that was there before Governor Uti, that they collected money to build a stadium. They've collected the money to build an airport, rather. Until now, we are still looking for the airport. We don't know where the airport is. The airport is not in Abia State. And they've collected billions. He collected billions. Where is he now? He's not around. He has traveled out of this country. Him and his family, and his wife, they are outside this country. But that is not an issue if they really want to prosecute this case. They can get Interpol to bring them back to answer for their crime. We should be seen as a serious nation. Because as it is now, Nigeria is seen as a comic nation. And these things are embarrassing. They are too embarrassing. People see these things and they begin to wonder what is going on. We don't see ourselves as a serious nation. Issues become serious when it has to do with the poor. But when it has to do with the politicians and it has to do with the rich, you're not a serious case. Forget about what you read in the newspaper. They have a way of working it out. And the guy will be free. And so we have a lot of free people, free politicians that have stolen our money, billions and billions, and nothing is done about it. Because in Nigeria, justice seems to be for the rich. It seems to be for the rich. They get away with crime. People are not investigated. What is the source of their wealth? What is the source of the wealth of the politicians? These politicians have been in government for years. Some came in 1999 and now they came in as poor men and today they are billionaires. They should be investigated. President Tinubu should investigate them. The federal government should investigate them. Look, it doesn't matter if it is one term. I always say in this program that the legacy of our president, who is a Democrat, is at stake. This is a president that fought for democracy. This is a president who is a Democrat. But now that he's there, we want to see it works. And I pray, if there's anything at all that tries to hinder him from being who he really is, that God should help him. It looks as if once they get to the government house, all of a sudden, they don't see clearly anymore. You should set up a structure that will make Nigeria succeed. It should not be a sentimental system. There should be a structure, a watertight structure, that any president that comes in operates with that template. There should be a law. The National Assembly, the executive, the judiciary, they should work this time around for a united nation, a united Nigeria, where people will answer for their crime, where corruption becomes a taboo, because when you are caught, you'll be punished. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are. Nobody is free. Once you are accused of corruption, you go to the court and prove yourself. And if you are innocent, you go. But if you are not innocent, you must be punished. We can't continue like this. You must be punished. They must be punished. Corruption cases should be treated to a logical conclusion. It should not be more than, if it is too much, the corruption cases should not be more than 2 months. Not be more than 2 months. When we have former governors, former ministers, former directors, former permanent secretaries rather, not even former, because they don't have immunity. When our prison yards are full with politicians who have stolen money, believe me, fraud will stop. Those legacies will be blocked. As it is now, we are living in a nation, as Nigeria, our situation right now, we are fetching water inside a basket that is leaking. That's why the country keeps getting poorer. No matter the effort that President Tinubu will make, except he blocked those leakages, except there's a law that makes it very difficult. People are scared of corruption because they know the consequences. No government will succeed. It doesn't matter. You know, Samson is said to be, Solomon is said to be the wisest man on earth. If you make Solomon the president of Nigeria today, under this system of structure, Solomon will still not succeed. He will still not succeed. The only way for we to succeed as a nation, for any leader to succeed, there must be a law that makes it impossible. Look at the guy in charge of Hajj who has been suspended. You ask yourself, why was he suspended? 90 billion for Hajj. He collaborated it. They diverted it. 90 billion. That is how it is in all sectors of the economy. You go to the governors, worse. And the most painful part is that they steal this money, they hide it. It's not even as if they use it to open companies, open businesses in Nigeria where they can employ people. They steal the money, either they drop it abroad or they hide it under their bed, or they dig a grave and put the money there in the grave, or they put it in water tanks. What level of people are this, you ask yourself? What kind of people are this? Except something is done. Even the ordinary man in the street will do the same. There are people that are waiting. When you speak to people, you speak to the youth, you see that we are in a very big danger. Because if you think that the politicians we have now are bad, wait, let this youth enter government. You will see that what we think is a crime is basically even a joke. Because there are people that are on standby, not to build Nigeria, no. They are on standby, waiting to defraud this country. And so what would they tell you? Make it reach my turn. Make it reach my turn. So they are basically waiting for their turn. Not their turn to build Nigeria, but their turn to defraud Nigeria. But the question is, how long will this continue? Is this how we will live as a nation? Is this how Nigeria will continue to live? How long will this system work? It has not worked for the past 20-something years. If President Tinubu wants to make a legacy, wants to make his name himself, he wants to make a name, if he wants to be seen as a leader and the founder of a new Nigeria, if he wants to be seen, then he has to make sacrifice. He has to block the leakages. Thank God he has money already. He's not taking money anywhere. He's not a young man. Will he take the money to the grave? He won't take it there. What? No, he has enough money that even his dependents can rely on. Let's not make stealing a hobby. Let's not make fraud a hobby in Nigeria. Nigerians are making fraud a hobby. They steal what they don't need. They just want to keep acquiring. It's a satanic spirit. They just want to acquire, even when they don't need it. Even when they know that they will die very soon, they just want to keep acquiring. They are not going to live forever. It doesn't matter. They will live one day. And I believe, and I will continue to say it, that this is the right time for President Tinubu to make a name for himself as the father of the new Nigeria. There should be structures in place. Structures should be in place. Corruption is a structural thing. If you think that this government is corrupt, let a new government come in. You will find that they are even worse. Look at Buhari came in as integrity man to fight corruption. How did they end up? He ended up as one of the most corrupt governments in Nigeria. Since the history of independence, the Buhari government seems to be the most corrupt. Because of the impunity and because people are not punished. There must be structure that makes it impossible for corruption to thrive. You cannot throw a fish in the water and tell it not to swim. As long as the fish is in the water, it will swim. Because it was made to swim in the water. Except those laws are in place, this corruption will continue. Because they have it entrenched in their blood. A father of a new Nigeria, even the ones in the streets. Corruption everywhere. You want to buy, they cheat you. They buy something here. You go to 10 different stores. You see 10 different amounts of one particular thing. 10 different amounts. Even if you have the stores in the same street. Because our crave for money, greed. There's so much greed in Nigeria. So much greed. From the leadership to the led. And that's the problem we'll be having since independence. And President Tinubu has the opportunity now to solve this problem. Why has Nigeria not succeeded since independence? This is the problem. We don't have structures in place that make it impossible for crime, that makes it impossible for criminal activity to take place, that makes it impossible for criminals to be free. We should have a sound judicial system to make it easy for EFCC to work. Because the judicial system we have now is even frustrating the effort of the EFCC. The present chairman of EFCC, if you see his body language, he is desperate to sanitize Nigeria. But we must have the judicial reforms that makes it possible for fraudsters in government to be punished. Because it's the same law that is getting them free. They know that there's loophole in the law. They are doing what they are doing now because they know that there's loopholes in the law. And they exploit that loopholes. They pick up lawyers and the rest to help them to exploit that loopholes to keep fraud continuing. But how long? How long? Shall we continue like this? When will the drum of success be filled up in Nigeria? Because Nigeria is fetching water in a basket. And the drum of success will never get filled. Because we are fetching water inside a basket. And so we need judicial reforms to make it possible for fraudsters to be punished. We are going to meet again in the evening. We are going to discuss again. Thank God YouTube has been responded. So we'll try to meet up for the past 5 days in the evening again also. But please, we need a judicial reform and we need people to be punished for crime. The money that these people are stealing is too much. The EFCC chairman said something. He said, I don't understand how Nigeria is still existing when I see how much they've stolen from this country. But shall we continue to steal? Should our politicians continue to steal? Put structure in place that makes it possible for fraudsters to be punished. Remember, we are serving as a role model for those in government. Our leaders should know that the youths are watching. And they are banking on the fact that there's too much impunity. That's why they are even planning now that when they get there, they will do worse. Some are even saying that when they become president, they will sell Nigeria. They will sell the country. Let there be deterrent, let people be punished. So those coming behind, we know that you cannot get away with it. Until we meet again, it's a rainy day, it's still raining. And I believe that the rain is washing away everything that makes it impossible for us to live as a nation. To live as a nation when human beings are living. Take good care of yourself.